Welcome back to Dial a Dietitian. Today is episode number 8 with Caroline Weeks from Iowa. Caroline is a clinical dietitian who regularly works with cystic fibrosis in pediatric patients. So today I am here with Caroline from Iowa. So Caroline, go ahead and introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit more about how you became a dietitian and what inspired you to become a dietitian.
Okay, hi guys, my name is Caroline Weeks and I currently live in Des Moines, Iowa, right smack dab in the United States, middle of the United States. I work as a pediatric dietitian in an outpatient setting. I'm spread between several specialty clinics at my children's hospital. So I work in cystic fibrosis, endocrinology, GI, and other related specialty clinics. But what inspired me to become a dietitian, my path to dietetics is very alternative, and to be honest, I don't really know. It's hard to explain every bit of the story, but to make a long story short, I grew up studying music, classical music, and I'm a classical violist. And my first degree is in music performance, and I attended a music conservatory first. And it was a very high stress environment, always stuck in a room practicing 8 hours a day. And I am by all means a people person, and I wanted to connect with others, and practicing in a room alone all day just wasn't fulfilling me. And I took a nutrition class and loved it. And at that same time, I also got into weightlifting. And I have a background as a competitive weightlifter. It's a strange combination. But for me, learning about sports nutrition and how the foods we eat impacted our sports performance kind of got me thinking, this is really impactful information. I can apply this in my personal life. And then fast forward, I transferred colleges to pursue a degree in dietetics. I got a job in a clinical setting and fell in love with the hospital and putting nutrition into play in people's lives to manage chronic disease as well as more acute illness. And that was, I finally felt like I had found a role where I could use all of my strengths, because as a dietitian, you have to be creative. So I'm a very creative person, I guess I'd like to think, as a musician. You have to problem solve. So as a musician, I was always problem solving, always trying to better myself, self-critique. You get to work with people, which I think is great. And I thrive off of conversations and learning from others. And you're constantly learning and pursuing and bettering yourself, your knowledge, collaboration. You're always questioning things and thinking with a very analytical mind. And you get to teach. And I think teaching is one of my skills and one of my true passions in life. So the dietetic profession just kind of blended everything together in a perfect way.
That's really great. It seems like it is like a perfect fit for you, even though it may not have been what you thought of first when you were first looking at what you were going to do with the rest of your life.
Yeah, my path was definitely not linear. It took some ups and downs and twists, but I got there in the end.
Great. So since you became a dietitian, is the job you're currently in your first position, or did you hold any other positions as well?
This is my first position with the RDN credential in the professional world, so I'm very excited. I try to be like a sponge and just kind of soak everything in. I'm very lucky that I have listservs that I get to communicate with other dietitians from across the country and really learn a lot. I in my clinical rotations, I actually did that at a Minneapolis VA location. So worked with more of a geriatric population. So to go from geriatric to pediatric was quite the learning curve. I did get exposure to peds in my clinicals, obviously, but it's different when that's your everyday. So I'm thankful to have the collaboration with other dietitians throughout the country.
Yeah, that collaboration is really, really helpful, and things like listservs and even Facebook groups and Instagram, you can really network with a lot of dietitians a lot more easily today. Great. So what excites you most about your work in nutrition now, and then just thinking about the future too?
What excites me most, I enjoy working in a clinical environment. So being able to collaborate with the interdisciplinary team just gives me life. And that really, I think, is what makes me thrive in a clinical setting, is because I'm working with GI doctors, pulmonologists, speech therapists, social workers, physical therapists, and we do collaborative projects, which is really, really fun. And I've had the opportunity to go to several conferences within the world of cystic fibrosis, which is very, very specific, kind of a niche area. But above and beyond everything I just mentioned, I love the ability to make a difference in a child's life. And I feel like working in pediatrics, I get to bring up conversations that are delicate, like maybe body image discussion or health at every size discussions, or just how to teach eating healthfully, intuitively balanced diets from a young age. And I just openly and honestly have those conversations with kids, and I say, you know what, you're way ahead of your classmate, you're learning this, and this is going to set you up really well for the future. It poses its own challenges because kids aren't facing chronic disease in the here and now. So I have to put a frame of mind around nutrition in a different way, because they aren't really at risk, or they can't appreciate the risk that, say, maybe someone managing cardiovascular disease or type 2 diabetes would. But I talk about their sports, or how concentrated they feel at school, or how they have energy to play with friends. And I try to kind of create that frame of mind around eating, and linking emotions and feelings and thoughts around the foods that we choose.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. And it sounds like you're really able to make like an impact that you feel good about with peds. Do you anticipate working in peds for a good portion of your career, or?
Yeah, that's something I kind of struggle with, honestly, myself. I really enjoyed working with adults and older adults as well. I think it's pretty much all the same. I mean, teaching healthy eating, it should be the same regardless of age. But peds creates its own challenges, because every appointment you've got 2 or 3 people. You've got the child, who's the patient, as well as their parent or parents. So you have to take 2 different angles and approaches every time you assess a patient. But I really enjoy it, and I get to hold cute babies all day, and it kind of doesn't feel like I'm working. So I think I could envision myself staying in this environment. Yes.
Very cool. So if someone is thinking about becoming a dietitian, what is your first line of response that you usually offer to them?
So yes, that is a great question, because this is an ever-growing field, and I think there's a lot of room for growth, and there's a lot of excitement surrounding nutrition. My best advice that I can give anyone starting out is to think about your passions, think about your goals, orient your goals to maybe 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and just write down your skills. So, maybe your skills are, very analytical math and less of the right brain creativity side. I feel like I'm more so right brain than I am left. But, and then kind of hone those skills and put it in one of the pillars of dietetics, if you will, like community, food service, clinical, because there's room for everyone in this field. And I think that's the beauty of dietetics. But another thing that really helped me was to seek out mentors. I think having a mentor at every stage of the game is so important. I even try to seek out mentors now, working as a professional in the dietetic field, just because I know I don't want my growth to stagnate, and I want to keep moving forward. So find someone that's doing a job that you think you'd like, and pick their brains, shoot them an email, ask to shadow them if possible. If anything, just reach out via the internet, and ask tough questions, and see if you could get a sense of doing that yourself.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, and actually something that hasn't been brought up in these interviews yet, but finding a mentor really can be a game changer, and just because they have that experience and they can direct you towards resources or things that you haven't been exposed to. Yeah.
I guess something else I'd add too, because coming from an arts, like a language arts background, being a musician, I honestly, in the music conservatory, my only math and science related class was my nutrition class. Everything else was, I was actually a double French major and music performance major, of all things. I still speak French and I still use it. But so I was extremely intimidated by the coursework in the beginning, moving to dietetics, having to take biochemistry, organic chemistry, statistics, and other kind of heady math and science courses. And I think that's honestly what turns a lot of people off to our profession, is just thinking, oh, I feel like this is a huge mountain I have to climb. How will I ever? But understand that you're never too old to have a tutor for classes. I know I got a tutor for organic chem and it gave me an A, so I'm not ashamed to say that I went through with that. And just take it one step at a time, and realizing that at the end, they look at your total package. It's not just your GPA and grades, but it's how you can communicate as a person, what your skills are outside of the classroom as well.
Yeah, definitely really good advice. And it even ties back into kind of your first point, that there are a lot of opportunities in dietetics. And so you shouldn't be super scared of the math or the science, or even if you aren't as creative, you get through the different things and then you'll find your place.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, if people are interested in finding out more about you and what you're doing, where can they find you, and tell us more about anything else you want us to know?
Yeah, so some of my projects that I've tried to kind of do on the side is starting a YouTube channel as I've gone through my clinical rotations and as I pass my boards and as I've started my job. So I'm not the best at creating content every week, because right now my main focus is my clinical job, but you can find me on YouTube. I have a channel where I discuss videos such as how to kill an interview and have success with that, how to prepare for the RD exam, what to expect in your rotations, in your clinical rotations. So definitely look up my YouTube channel. I also have an Instagram, and that's another area where I try to post educational, meaningful content. And I'm lately, my goal this year was to travel a lot. So I post travel pictures and food vacation pictures. So
Very cool. And we'll have that all linked down for you guys down below, and definitely check those out. Caroline has just some really good advice in her YouTube channel, and she has a really great energy about her too. So I'm sure you guys will love watching those and checking up on what she's up to and where she's traveling to. So thank you guys so much for tuning in with us this week, and thank you, Caroline, for talking with us, and we will see you guys next week.
Okay, thank you so much, Aimee. Bye-bye.
Next week on Dial a Dietitian.
I've gotten to work with some incredible people, including Michelle Obama, Jenna Bush Hager, Patti LaBelle, who I'm working with this weekend. So I do a lot of fun things too.
Oh yeah, definitely. That sounds really exciting. And just even reading through, I'll give you guys the opportunity to read through her bio at her website, and